All right, Coach. Well, how's it been this week? Just getting ready for Texas Tech, coming off, a frustrating performance, I'm sure, on Friday night.
Yeah, back to work. I mean, that's really what it is, and really like the guys' attitude today as we hit the field. Yeah, it's good. It's good to get back on the grass.
Steve, you guys got obviously a lot of injuries, kind of injury bucket. You guys are at the Houston game, quarterback, running back. How difficult has it been in practice so far to maybe have enough guys to be able to practice and be prepared for everything?
Next man up, and we go from there. I mean, not hard to get another guy in there. You get to this point in the season, we're dealing with some injuries. Cool thing is, no one's making excuses. It's next man up, and we got smart coaches that can figure out the rotation of those things to be able to get through practice and try to put those guys in position. The guys that maybe haven't played as much, try to put them in position to where they're going to have some success, so they get the confidence that they need and they will have to play on Saturday.
Spoke with Coach Frost yesterday. He said that Taven was dealing with a hamstring issue. During the game against Houston, obviously Dobby came in. What are you kind of evaluating at QB this week if Taven's ready to go, or what would you hope to see from Dobby in practice this week as well?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. The evaluation piece starts with the health, as you alluded to earlier, and who can take full speed reps in practice, because you're going to play generally how you practice. So that's a big part of it. We just finished really the first practice of the week, other than the walkthrough we had last night, and have yet to watch the tape. Have some ideas after watching the practice live, but definitely want to get back here in a few minutes and check the practice out, see which guy's doing what well, and then factoring that into where we have other healthy bodies and the guys we need to get the ball to, and try to play into the strengths that we have. But it's been intentional this week, and in regards to building a plan out to the quarterback strengths or the skill player strengths and the offensive line strengths based on the health that we got.
Kind of to follow up on that, I believe like when Taven came out, a big part of that was his hamstring and his inability to get away from the pass rush. What did you see from Dobby during that final drive and him scrambling and picking up some extra yards?
Yeah, I mean, he did a great job, outside of the first play to start the series of getting everybody lined up and organized, and was able to rip off a couple real decent runs. There's a couple heartbreakers in there. No fault to Dobby. There was a specific read on one of the plays. They busted the defense, and if he would have done X, then we would have had a better result, but that's not his fault. He was staying true to his read, and that would have been probably a game-winning type of play. But ultimately, what we saw from Dobby is he's a fighter. He's willing to go out there and put his body on the line in a critical moment. That was good to see, and he put himself in a situation that you'd like to have some experience going into that last situation on the third down where we had a guy open. Nobody's beating himself up more than Dobby, but the cool thing about that kid is his ability to bounce back, and that's been good to see the last couple of days as we prepare to play against a really good opponent. And it's going to take all these quarterbacks throughout the week of practice to get ourselves ready to go.
What's the conversation like with Dobby? How does a moment like that, you hope, build some character and help him in his future?
Yeah, you got to know Dobby. Like I said earlier, he's a fighter. He's one of those guys that the moment's never going to be too big. He was hard on himself there at the end of the game. When you're your toughest critic, and you're generally going to find ways to be successful. He's not an excuse maker in any way, shape, or form. But I don't think it wasn't that he wasn't ready for the moment. It's just we need to get those reps and experiences we're developing and growing as a team.
What more do you need to see from wide receiver in a moment like that in the end zone?
From that last moment in the end zone?
Yeah.
Oh, that was a good route by – we were just late on the throw. I mean, point blank period. It was a good route by Speedy. We had him open. We were off a half a count, and probably could have led him a little bit more into the end zone. But that was good execution by Speedy. We just got to make the execution on all 11.
Coach, Jaden ended up with his highest carry total of the season, if memory serves, after he had to step in for Miles there. Just what has his role been thus far in the backfield to this point, and how does that change now going to Texas Tech with Miles' injury now a factor in things?
Yeah, sure. I mean, his role has been, co in there with Miles, and we need to have multiple backs. We talked about this a lot, going all the way back to fall camp, speaking to you guys. You need to have multiple backs, running backs, because you're going to get to this point in the season. Running backs get tackled, probably tackled more than anybody else. And that's generally when things are, going to get bumps and bruises. And the availability of Miles, we'll figure that out as the week goes. So as we look at the game plan against Texas Tech, if, Jaden's our healthiest running back, then, yeah, he's going to probably have to play a little bit more, and he's up for it. Man, he's a tough kid. experience. He's an older guy, so the role that he's had is just increased a little bit, and then we need to be mindful of the other guys that are backing him up, just like everything else, the next man up approach. And there's going to be other guys that can fill his shoes, and then on top of that, trying to do other creative things with our personnel to spread out those touches. Because you're going to get anywhere from 65 to 80 plays in the game. Just being mindful of how we're going to allocate those touches, and it doesn't always have to be the running back.
As you said, you need multiple backs. So who else other than Jaden could we see take some backfield snaps, considering the injuries in the running back room right now?
Well, of course, AG, and he took some reps in this last game, so he'll be ready. That's a kid that works his butt off every single day, and kind of been an unsung guy that's bounced back and forth between doing scout team things, but also with us and always locked in. Really smart dude, obviously, coach's son. Like, he gets it, for a young guy too. So, excited about him and the opportunities he might get.
You've had a few situations now mid-game where you've had to go from one quarterback to the next. So what are those conversations between you guys as a staff, between you, Scott, Mackenzie, as far as, the play calling aspect of it and especially going from one guy like Taven and another guy like Dobby, where they've got two such, kind of wide-ranging skill sets?
Yeah, I think in the critical moment, like when it happens in the game when we may have to make a change, what's understood doesn't need to be explained, so those are quick conversations. We already know, and we've already discussed as a staff, okay, what are the plays that we like, or types of plays that we like for each individual, because each one of these guys has his own individual skill set, so when Dobby went in, we made sure to at least use one of those timeouts as Houston was moving the football, and we knew that we were probably going to need to have some time to be able to have the full offense available because Dobby was going in. If it was a different situation and we were thinking more pass game, then we probably just would have let that go to the 2 minute to save a couple timeouts, and that's just going to determine just quite simply like if you can throw it a little bit or if you can run it a little bit more than passing it. And we also know too, like we can just call the base offense with Dobby because he's going to, he'll be able to make scramble drill a real viable play for us as well, which is probably what we needed a little bit earlier in the football game. In hindsight, obviously, it's easy to go look back. We had to punt the ball in the fourth quarter with plenty of time left. They did a really nice job of sustaining a bit of a drive, so we were kind of, okay, this is going to be the last series, so we wanted to make sure we had enough time and timeouts to be able to put that drive together. Time was not the issue. We had plenty of time.
As you talked about earlier, the running back room's a little banged up right now, but how do you maintain balance and kind of keep defenses honest with the run game, and how helpful has adding some of those sweeps and some of those plays for Dwayne to get carries or get the ball in the perimeter to help with kind of expanding the run game?
Yeah, each week, we're trying to put up the names of the guys that need to touch the football and then obviously play to their skill set. So for sure, you alluded to it that, Speedy is a guy that we definitely need to continue to find easy touches for, whether that's a screen or getting him in the backfield or just line him up in the backfield. And we've been able to do some of those things. So we just lean into it a little bit more, knowing that running back depth is not where it was at the beginning of the season. That's not anything different than probably most teams are dealing with at this point in the season, though.
What challenges have you seen Texas Tech on film present for this potential offense, and how tough is it going to be to go on the road and get your first win on the road this season?
Yeah, it's always tough winning on the road, especially in this league. The things that they present are they play fast and aggressive, and it's not necessarily the scheme. They keep it relatively simple so those guys can play fast. So we just need to be on, and we're playing on the road too, so we're probably dealing with a little bit of crowd noise and learning from some of the issues we had the last time we were on the road, just making sure we practice and simulate those things. But what it comes down to is just executing our stuff when we need to, and that's where we're growing to, that's what we're working on, and that's really where our mindset is, just playing the best version of football that we can play right now.
When you kind of look at that defense, though, what are the challenges you see when you put on the film? They're playing very well defensively. Their defensive line may be one of the best in the country.
Yeah, their edge players are special. The cool thing for us is we see against, we play against pretty good edge players every week in practice. So this is probably the closest thing that the looks that we get from the guys that we have to practice against. So those guys are really talented. The production is there. You can just look at the stats. Those guys do a great job of getting to the quarterback. And they keep it simple. A handful of other guys that are worth noting. Their Will linebacker is a highly touted player for good reason. He's their leading tackler, number 10. Man, he's a special player. He has a nose for the football. Across the board, they have a good player at almost every position, and then they also have depth. So hats off to those guys so far of what they put together in the season. But what we're telling our guys and reminding these guys is this is college football Saturday, and we got an opportunity to go get after a really good team. But everybody, last time I checked, they tie their shoes the same way, and we've seen some really good players in this league already. So Not trying to make too much of that. I think our guys understand the challenge for sure, but I also think that, there's going to be things that we can take advantage of and try to play to our strengths.
Couple more. We've talked about this before, the penalties. How do you, at this point in the season, make sense of what you're seeing and how fatal they are to you and how self-inflicted the wounds are during a game? I mean, what can you do?
Yeah, I mean, it is really disappointing. Some of the penalties we had in this last game are really untimely too. Coming off the sideline, first play of the second half, it comes down to a matter of discipline that needs to continue to get better, just quite frankly. Trying to figure out other ways that we can practice it. Today I thought we had a pretty clean practice, but there were still a handful of things that need to get cleaned up. And that's really just raising the standard, not just from the coaches, but from the players. And the first thing I do is I look in the mirror and the internal view of, okay, what do I need to do as a coach to clean some of these things up and help? I think Coach Frost might have alluded to you guys, the way we practice and where we're at with our experience is sometimes you got to slow down the drill to be able to, give the detail that's needed, and then, everybody back on the line, now let's run the play. Okay, where that's hurting us is that does not simulate game-like atmosphere, because in the game, everything is from one to the next, from one to the next, and we're missing out on some of those things just from where we're at. Part of that probably has to do with new people coming in to certain spots, so those things snowball at this point in the season. What we need to get is more continuity, and we need to get more of a higher standard of how we operate. You can't really put your finger on one thing because it's a combination of all those things. So getting in sync is really going to help that, and then raising the level of the standard, and that has to come from the players just as much as the coaches. But right now it's, okay, what can I simulate in practice? It might not be a specific play, but can I simulate this type of play going to that type of play, so the transitions. As you watch the tape, you're generally going to get, like I said, 65 to 80 plays of football. 40 of those are going to be like your first and second down mix calls. Some of those are going to be your third down. Some of those are going to be your red zone. What's not on film is the transition from play to play. Okay, so what I mean by that is when they cut the film and everything that's coming on from the sideline or everything that's going on, communication from coach to player, that's the area that we need to improve the most. Because generally what that means is if we get more efficient there's going to be more time on the play clock, a little bit more grace in relationship to being able to get firm feet. So I can't say that one enough, getting firm feet. Firm feet means set, knowing my job, being in position, not have to move around, get set once so we can snap the football and have some continuity.
How do you hold guys accountable when they commit penalties and you're looking at them on film and then you go back to practice? I mean, what's that accountability look like?
Really, I mean, there's all sorts of different cool things you can do in relationship to, but we're going to penalize a guy for this, right? The best thing that I've experienced is being honest and being firm and being consistent.
Last one.
Coach, through this point in the season, the team has struggled on the road. Not sure if there's anything specifically, but what do you think has been one of the major issues for this team going on the road, especially now you have to go on the road against Texas Tech? What do you hope to see from out of that?
I want to see the guys excited to play, and we've had that at times on the road, but obviously a great environment that we get to play in front of our fans. That atmosphere Friday night was one of the best I've been around. Very cool atmosphere. It doesn't really take a whole lot to get up and fired up to play in that atmosphere. What we need to do is we need to take on the mindset of being the villain. Because when you go into someone else's house, you go into someone's home, that's what you are. So I'd like our guys to lean into that, and I think that's a good thing because our players will be able to hold on to something and realize that it's really not about them, it's not about their fans, it's about us. And when we do that, that's when we generally play our best.
All right, thanks everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Coach.